Are you the proud owner of an Ipollo mini ASIC miner, either for Ethereum and ETC, or like the Classic Plus here, which is for Ethereum Classic, or just the mini by itself, which is for Ethereum Classic as well? Or you're on the fence and you've just been hearing some bad things about these in terms of the dashboard is not reporting correctly for you, it's not reporting the hash rate in the pool itself, or it's just not on par to what the reported hash rate is supposed to be. Well, I got every single issue fixed for you guys in this video. So I have reviewed all of these miners in the past, and they all pretty much had the same type of issues, whether they weren't reporting hash rate at all in a mining pool, or the hash rates weren't on par to what the specifications on the websites were telling us. But I have new firmware now that fixed the issue on every one of these miners. These things are absolute beasts now, and they're hashing away like crazy. Now, it's not doing anything extra. It's slightly over what it's supposed to be doing, but pretty much these miners are now doing what they were originally intended to do, and they are mining at what they are being advertised at now. Now, not only that, the ETC miners, so we got the Classic Plus as well as just the Classic Mini here, they also got quite a bit of rejected shares or invalid shares depending on the pool you're using. That is gone as well. We're going to jump into the workstation and now look at the new numbers that all of these machines are doing. But first, I'm going to show you where to get this firmware. All right, so first up, where do you get this firmware? You do have a couple options. One is come into my website here. Just click onto crypto mining hardware. Once that loads up, it will take you to hardware. Go to ASICs here, and this will take you into two links. Now, I got the Ipollo V1 Mini ETH Miner 6 GB firmware. This is for your gold one. And then I got the Ipollo ETC Mini / Plus firmware. This does work for both the Mini and the Plus. Now, in theory, the same firmware is supposed to work for all three of these miners, but when they did send them to me, they have a little bit of a difference in the numbers. So I did split them up, and this is the way I'm running them, the same way I have them downloaded here. Now, you don't have to use my site if you don't trust me or anything. Obviously, the number one best way to get the firmware yourself, and the way I do it, is from Ipollo themselves. Contact support, go into live chat here, switch to live agent. Now I'm just gonna, I guess, troll them a little bit because I just clicked on live agent. See, now they're answering. But I come in here, I usually come in once every couple weeks to see if there's anything new. And then this is where I found out and got this brand new firmware. So I just asked them, you know, what's the latest firmware on the V1 ETH miner? Or what's the latest firmware on the V1 ETC miner? And so on. And they just said pretty much send me a download link, which is not actually on their support itself. So this is how I do get the firmware. Again, I will update my website with this firmware as I keep finding new ones, but these are two options for you to get the up-to-date latest firmware. Okay, so I do have all three of those little mini ASIC miners loaded up, and we can just take a quick look at the firmware. So here's one, 65.83, next one, 65.83, and then the final one, 65.83. They're all running on the same firmware version, and basing off hash rates, this is at 291. This is your current, not your reported hash rate, but I think this is the plus based on the hash rate it's doing here, the Classic Plus. Clicking over here, this looks like the Classic Mini, pulling about 140 mega hash. We can see it's nice and consistent. And then this is the V1 ETH miner, the gold one. It's hanging out around 312. Now, this is based on shares found. This is not your reported hash rate, but we can see how nice and steady these things actually are now. Previously, I was only getting about 50%, if that. Sometimes it'd say 60 mega hash, 20 mega hash, depending on the miner you're using, but we are nowhere near the levels that it was actually supposed to be within the dashboard itself. So now I'm actually going to check out the pool itself. So here I am on Flexpool. These have been running for a little over 24 hours now, so I could finally get these numbers for you. And we can see, look, we now have a reported hash rate of 300 mega hash. I believe this miner for me previously was having 0 mega hash. It would not report it at all, so we always had to guess it based on our average, but we are averaging 310 mega hash in the past 24 hours. This is advertised as 300 mega hash. It's reporting 300 mega hash, and we are actually finding more shares over the past 24 hours to put us in that 310 mega hash range. Our stales here are 0.75. Good, very good range here, and our invalid shares is at 0%. So the V1 mini ETH miner is looking really well. Let's take a look at the little Ethereum classic miners now. Okay guys, so first I want to show you this screenshot. I did take this slightly after I updated my miners. As you can see here, this is the drop off here where I did do the update itself, and then it's been on for about 2 or 3 hours, so on. But we can see I did have a lot more because it's starting to fix itself in this period. But we're at 373 invalid shares, 4.2%. Stale was 185, 2.12%. And our valid shares was 8,168 in the previous 24 hours. And every day it's pretty much been like this. You got these miners. I seen your guys' comments. You guys are all reporting the exact same thing. Invalid shares on these Ethereum classic miners. So now let's take a look with the latest firmware installed. All right, guys, look at that. Here we are inside the dashboard, and you can see right off the get-go, 0% invalid shares. We are not getting any invalid shares anymore. We're getting a few stale shares, 0.82. That's well within range. That's just fine. But we're also seeing 9,273 valid shares sent to the pool. That's over 1,100 more shares sent, which means I wish I would have took a screenshot of my profitability at the time, because the Ethereum hash rate, or Ethereum classic hash rate, if we look in the past day since I swapped this, is actually up. And because it's up, I also, in theory, you would think, okay, we lost. Where's my page here? Right here. So we would lose a little bit because the difficulty went up, but I'm actually up on my yields as well because we converted all these invalid shares into valid shares. So we are mining at that much more hash rate. So that's absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at these miners though, one by one. So here is the ETC Mini Plus, and it's rated to be about 270 mega hash. We can see we're reporting 260, 10 under what it's advertised as, but we are actually seeing 288 mega hash in the past 24-hour period based on the shares. So this is performing the same or better than what it should be performing. Now let's just take a look at the mini ETC miner, which is supposed to be about 130, 140. And we can see it's reporting it's 130 mega hash, and we're at 141. So these miners are now pretty much performing exactly how they're supposed to perform. So updating your firmware to this latest version is going to fix every issue you had with these little mini Ipollo ASIC miners. All right, guys, so it does look like all the issues these little mini Ipollo miners were having is now officially fixed. So that's looking good. If you were on the fence, I do have links as well as discount codes to Belay mining and Jingle mining in the description below. If there are any other miners you would like me to look at or you have questions about, just let me know in the comments or join my Discord. Link is as well in the description. I will try to get them in and see what we can figure out. If you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to do so to stay up to date on all the latest crypto news and miners. I will see you on the next one. Rabid out. Thank you for watching my video, and if you haven't seen one of these, be sure to check them out. And if you already seen them, maybe you missed some, might have to watch it one more time. And if you just let it play in the background, that's all right as well. I do try to live stream every weekend as well as every couple days during the week, so be sure to be subscribed so you don't miss that. As always, have a great day.